Hello everyone, welcome to the U.S. Immigration Hub. There's a rare moment of hope unfolding in Washington. It's a moment many thought might never come. After decades of gridlock, political fighting, and failed promises, Congress has just introduced one of the most ambitious and balanced immigration reform bills in modern history. It's called the Dignity Act of 2025, and it could reshape not just the immigration system, but the very way America approaches its borders, its workers, and its future for immigrant families, business owners, border communities, and millions of undocumented people who have lived here for years. This bill brings a long-awaited possibility: stability without fear, progress without partisanship. After nearly 40 years of stalled efforts, what makes this time different? In this video, we'll break down the key parts of the Dignity Act, how it impacts immigrants and American communities alike, and why it could be the most consequential immigration reform in decades. If you are liking this video, please hit the bell button, subscribe, and like it, so that you may get updates straight to your smartphone. Now, let's get into the video. The Dignity Act of 2025 isn't just another proposal. It's a carefully negotiated bipartisan piece of legislation that seeks to balance three of the most sensitive pillars of immigration policy: securing the border, creating lawful pathways for undocumented immigrants already in the country, and strengthening the U.S. labor force. The centerpiece of the bill is a new legal status program designed not to provide citizenship, but to provide long-term protection and order. Immigrants who have lived in the United States continuously since before 2021 may apply, provided they pass extensive background checks, pay taxes, and commit to restitution payments totaling $7,000 over 7 years. This legal status allows work and travel authorization, but, without access to federal benefits. It's renewable, indefinite, and comes with accountability. Florida Representative Maria Elvira Salazar, the Republican lead sponsor of the bill, described it as the end of the false choice between amnesty and deportation. For millions of undocumented immigrants, many of whom have been working, paying taxes, and raising families in the U.S. for decades, this bill could finally bring a sense of permanence. But honestly, legalization is only one part of the equation. The Dignity Act proposes $70 billion in new investments for border security. This includes upgrades to surveillance technology, more personnel, faster response teams, and, importantly, an end to controversial catch-and-release practices. Critically, it also prohibits immigration enforcement in sensitive areas like churches, schools, and hospitals, spaces where immigrant families should feel safe. The bill also mandates a nationwide rollout of E-Verify, which is, the government's system for checking if workers are legally authorized to work in the United States. Employers across every industry, from farms to tech firms, would be required to use this system to help create a fairer job market and reduce the lure of illegal employment. Asylum reform is another big piece of the bill. The current system is severely backlogged, with cases sometimes stretching on for years. The Dignity Act changes that. It requires that asylum claims at the border be processed within 60 days by specialized officers. This fast-tracked process is meant to ensure that those truly fleeing danger get the help they need quickly, while fraudulent claims are identified and resolved swiftly. Visa modernization is also a top priority. The bill proposes streamlining the current system, removing outdated rules, reducing processing times, and expanding capacity where needed. It would update quotas, protect families stuck in decades-long visa lines, and better align immigration with American labor needs. In short, it aims to make immigration smarter, faster, and fairer, not just for those abroad trying to come in, but for the many who are already here and contributing. For dreamers, the undocumented young people brought to the United States as children, this bill could be, honestly, life-changing. Though it doesn't offer citizenship, it would provide legal status and protection from deportation, ending the fear and uncertainty they've lived with for years. It also offers stability for American businesses, particularly in sectors that depend on immigrant labor. Agriculture, healthcare, hospitality, and construction industries are expected to benefit from a more reliable, documented workforce. This isn't just good for business, it's good for workers too. By requiring E-Verify, employers can no longer exploit undocumented labor, helping to raise standards and wages across the board. Border towns would receive new funding for infrastructure, housing, and services, resources long overdue in communities stretched thin by inconsistent enforcement policies. And importantly, all of this is being proposed in a way that avoids burdening taxpayers. The bill's programs are designed to be self-funding, paid for through immigrant application fees and restitution payments. Politically, the bill is notable not just for what it includes, but for how it's been received. It has drawn support from both Republicans and Democrats, particularly those representing border districts or diverse immigrant communities. Representatives like Democrat Veronica Escobar of Texas have joined hands with Republican counterparts to push this legislation forward. Faith leaders, advocacy organizations, and business coalitions have also voiced strong support. Their message is clear. This is not about party politics. It's about finding practical solutions that reflect both America's values and its needs. And yet, not everyone is pleased. Progressive immigration groups worry the bill doesn't go far enough, criticizing the lack of a full path to citizenship or access to federal programs. On the other end, some conservative lawmakers argue that any legalization program will encourage more illegal immigration. These are serious concerns, and the legislative battle ahead will reflect those tensions. But here's what makes this different. For the first time in years, there is actual momentum, there's urgency, and there's a real pathway forward. Implementation will happen in phases. First comes the funding for border infrastructure, technology, and personnel. Next, the legal status program would open, expected within the next year. Visa and asylum reforms would roll out gradually through 2026 and beyond. With proper implementation and oversight, the bill could become a model for future immigration policy, not just in the U.S. And it couldn't come at a more critical time. The last few years have seen record-breaking enforcement under the Trump administration, including high-profile raids and deportations. But those actions haven't solved the deeper problems. America is still facing labor shortages. Families are still living in legal limbo. The border remains a humanitarian and logistical challenge. The Dignity Act doesn't pretend to be a perfect solution, but it offers a framework, one that emphasizes accountability, compassion, and economic sense. It recognizes the real contributions immigrants make, and it affirms that the United States can enforce its laws while still treating people with dignity. Will it pass the Senate? Will the White House support it? Will political pressure derail the fragile bipartisan coalition behind it? Those answers are not yet clear, but what is clear is this: America is watching, immigrant communities are watching, and the world is watching. The Dignity Act of 2025 could be the turning point that defines not just immigration law, but the soul of the American promise. That's all we have for this bulletin. The U.S. Immigration News Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the steps for processing United States immigration, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas such as B1 and B2, work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family immigrant visas. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the U.S. Immigration Hub channel. Thank